Hi, I'm Maddoxx. I'm a painter, and this is what I've created. In high school, I wasn't very social. I didn't talk a lot. And I found that when I was doing art, I was able to sort of speak without speaking and communicate whatever I was going through or what was bugging me. So I think Prismacolors were my first main medium. And honestly, I stuck with them until a year ago. But right now, the body of work I'm doing is in acrylic paint. But I sort of cheat with acrylic paint. It's just called media that I put into the acrylic that makes it dry slower. So it's somewhere in between oil and acrylic. I feel like that's an important distinction to make because a lot of my acrylic paintings don't look like acrylic. Yeah, I think most contemporary art is sort of about identity. I think you could make a case that all art is kind of about identity. And I definitely see my identity in my work, but I think identity is more complicated than I'm this, and you can sum it up in a word. And then I also think all my artwork is really loud. So my older pieces are very colorful and vibrant. And then my newer pieces are a little bit less colorful, but I would say conceptually and with the content that's there, it's very loud. And I think the whole point of this new body of work I'm doing that's called iconoclasm is getting rid of a lot of the sexual shame that we sort of inherently feel and don't really examine too closely. And I think it's important that people have the self-criticality to be okay, I'm saying that this is defiling, or this is mocking, or this is inappropriate, but why am I saying that? I sort of have always been aesthetically drawn to the human form. Portraying people is one of the best ways to get an identity. This series of portraits where I was photographing someone, normally a friend or myself, and then comparing them to a flower, but it was less about the person themselves and more about what I was going through. This one was, I think this was actually maybe the last one I did in that series, but it's titled Sometimes We Need Care and Time to Be Beautiful. And I made this one by combining two portraits. So half of it is me, and then the half that you see in shadow is a friend of mine. It was sort of my friend was a woman and was cis, so it was sort of thinking non-binarily about my body and my mind, and then thinking about my specific brand of masculinity and whether or not I think that it is lesser than traditional masculinity, which I don't think it is. This piece was based on Judith and Holofernes, which has been done a lot through art history. I was looking specifically at Artemisia Gentileschi's Judith and Holofernes, and also Caravaggio's, which is why it sort of has the Baroque lighting that we were talking about, where it's super dark in the background and then really high contrast with these dark shadows and then really light highlights. But this was the first painting where I was oh, I can kind of paint. I'll typically have to, especially for this body of work, I will have to schedule a photo shoot. I will have to book a photographer and get a model, which normally the model is just someone I know. And then after I do that, I'll transfer a photo. I'll just project it onto a canvas, draw it, and then start painting. And then the painting process takes a month. Especially when I was in high school and not out of the closet, there was a lot of things I couldn't speak about or felt I couldn't speak about. And art sort of gave me an outlet to speak about some of that stuff, even though I wasn't being explicit about it. Everyone needs some sort of creative outlet, I think, or some sort of outlet for really overwhelming emotions. I think a lot of men specifically deal with their anger by going to the gym, but art is that for me.